And we are live. So, a warm welcome to each and everyone. My name is Phil from Cogent, and this is the weekly Let Us Talk It Zipinar. If you're wondering, we call it Zipinar as it is a zip webinar. So, we try to zip in two topics in one session to maximize the information being shared, but and also minimize the time being consumed as everyone's pretty busy, especially in between the weekdays. All right. But we still appreciate your time and effort in joining in our webinar sessions. And also for those who are watching live, thank you so much. And you can drop your questions in the chat section. So our um, guest speakers will be able to address those. And I'm excited to introduce to you the two speakers that we have invited and willingly agreed to join in today and would love to share their insights and their knowledge in their profession as well and their rich experience into this session today. Though short only, but I am pretty sure it is very impactful. All right. And I'd like to introduce the first topic that we have for you today, which is user centered design. So, driving business success through empathy. So, this user centered design isn't just about aesthetics, it's about understanding people. And also, this session with our speaker, we will explore how empathy driven researches helps businesses create products and experiences that truly resonate with their users. By prioritizing customer needs, companies can enhance retention, build loyalty, and gain a competitive edge in the market, which is what every business wants to have. And our guest speaker today is a researcher and market research strategist, and also have a passion for helping businesses make data driven, user focused decisions, and primarily work with open source projects, startups, and small to medium sized businesses, helping them bridge the gap between user needs and business goals. And I want to present to you or introduce you, help me welcome Miss Betty Akinkunmi as our first speaker today. How are you, Betty? Thank you for joining
I'm
today.
good. I'm fine.
All
Thank
right.
you.
That's great. So we are curious and excited to hear about the topic that you have chosen to share today. So yeah, I'll give you the mic and yeah, let us know what your topic is about.
Okay. First of all, you called my surname really, really right, like with the right pronunciation. And I'm surprised and happy about that. So that's by the way. So secondly, we move on to the topic now. We're talking about user-centered design and driving business success through empathy. So now we ask ourselves, what is user-centered design and why is it so crucial in today's market? User-centered design is a problem-solving approach that involves users throughout the design process. So we move from discovery to delivery, not just in the beginning or not just in the end, but through each and every process. So it is more than aesthetics or how beautiful the website is or how well it functions. It is about deep understanding. And in my experience with startups, especially those that are trying to enter the saturated market, we see that user centered design is always, always, always a game changer. And one of the e-tech startups I've worked with initially wanted to build a sleek app, but through user-centered design, through user-centered driven interviews with students and teachers, we discovered that their pain point wasn't aesthetics at all. It was the cognitive load. It was the poor onboarding on the application. So through that, we were able to redesign the platform with a focus on simplicity. And that way, it reduced information density. And we used personalized dashboards, and engagement went up by 63% in just 2 months. So that is the power of research. That is what research can do for a business. So user-centered design literally prevents guesswork. It brings users to the table, not just after the launch, but from the start. From the start. So now we ask ourselves, how do empathy driven design and how do empathy drive design? Yeah. Our main word here is empathy. So, how do empathy drive design, and what does empathy look like in practice? Empathy is not just pity or assumption. Of course, most people usually mix up sympathy and empathy together. Sympathy is when I see you, you're in a bad situation, and I feel so sorry for you. I'm sad for you. And then I just go away. But empathy, I am putting myself in your shoes. I am literally feeling what you're feeling. And that way, I am able to help you because I am in your shoes. So that's the difference between sympathy and empathy. It is a structured, intentional act of putting yourself in your user's shoes, now in this case, and staying there throughout the process. You don't just put yourself in the shoes and then, okay, you know what the user needs, then you go away and you create your products. You might still flop. You have to put them through step by step in every process. So, I'm going to be talking about more of my experiences with startups because those are the sectors I basically focus on here. So in my experience working with startups, especially um hey, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. I remember working with a healthcare startup to develop an app for managing diabetics. And on paper, everything worked perfectly fine. Trust me, the business strategy, the advert, the marketing, everything worked fine. But during empathy mapping workshops, one diabetic patient broke it down. Thing it was to log our meals every single day on the app. And that moment reframed our perspective. We simplified the application and we used predictive logging to reduce inputs by 80%. So that way, when we look at your history of logging in your meals, we would know what you might probably log in and it
Uh, Betty?
matter. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, there might have been a network glitch. Like you are pausing. Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe like a 10-second backtrack of what you said.
okay. I was talking about the diabetic patients that broke down into tears. Did you hear that part?
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
so she was sharing how exhausting it was to log her meals every day. And that moment reframed our perspective. We were able to simplify the application and use predictive logging to reduce inputs by 80%. And that emotional vulnerable moment that the user had, which is the diabetic patient in this case, it's led to a design pivot in the product and which made the product stick. So now empathy transforms your roadmap. It moves you from what we can build to what actually matters, not to you as the business owner now, but to your users. So that is what empathy does for a business. So now we're going to look into the biggest benefits of user-centered design for businesses. And for this, I'm going to emphasize on three words, which are we have retention, we have loyalty, and we have advocacy. So if your users feel understood, they would stay. A riding app I once consulted for bleeding users for their old customers, they had to redesign their booking process based on empathy-driven personas. You have to know your users, even sometimes more than they know themselves. That way they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel like someone understands them. The application feels personalized to them. And that way you can retain your customers. You don't even have to talk them into it. You don't have to convince them. They would themselves stay there because they feel They feel like this thing is specifically for them. And also, we talk about loyalty. Products designed with users' pain points in mind, they foster emotional connections because the user don't just stay this time around. They keep returning. They keep returning over time because they feel comfortable with you. They feel safe with you, that you understand them as a business owner. Also, the first thing I talked about, which is advocacy. Happy users usually recommend your product. And as we all know, in a world where ads are very, very, very rampant, word of mouth, if my friend comes to me and tells me, oh, I used this product, it works very well, I would believe her over 1,000 adverts because she used it. It worked for her. She is my friend. So I'd rather believe her word. So that is what recommendation does for a business. I've seen user-centered design lead to a 300% spike in referrals simply because they solved a real unspoken problem. So most times people talk about products that solves their problem, that solves their pain. That is what they talk about. And when they talk about it, the confidence with which they used to talk about it, the happiness would easily bring people around them to your business. And that is a very easy way to boost your business. You don't even have to pay for it. You don't have to pay people to do that for you. They'll do that freely. And that is like your best marketing strategy. So also I'd like to talk about the processes that usually comes up in approaching, or the challenge that usually comes up in approaching UX research, and my process to approaching UX. Of course, there are challenges. There are literally challenges in everything that you do. But I follow a structured empathy to execution pipeline. So first of all, I go into the discovery phase and the empathy session. I use user interviews. Sometimes we do shadowing where we go into we just observe them. We don't ask questions because sometimes people do not even know what they want. They cannot even articulate their pains. So what we do is we observe them. We observe how they are interacting with their applications, and that way we are able to see hidden patterns that even the users themselves might not know. But as an expert, of course, you will be able to decipher that and you'll be able to use it. Then secondly, we do persona building. So we don't just look into, of course, we look into the age, we look into the location, we look into the name of the person. Most of the time, we give the user a name so that it will feel like a person, a name, age, gender, occupation, and all of that. But also, we look into the emotional and psychological part. What are their motivations? What are their fears? How do they behave? How do they react to certain things? So, when you look into those things, it is easier for you to pick out the pain points of your users, and that way you use that as your advantage point. That will be your edge to creating a very, very, very good product for them. Also, we go into thirdly, we go into journey mapping, where are they getting stuck practically in the application or whatever they are using. Where do they feel confused? Where are they getting stuck? That way, when you find the exact problem, you can be able to know what to solve and what to do to solve that. And also, as I always say, validation is constant. Feedback is always constant. You don't say you are done or you are done creating the product, so there is no need for feedback. You've done your research and all of that. Research goes on and on and on and on. So you have to keep researching. You have to keep getting feedbacks from your users to keep iterating, testing, and improving because you can't just stay in one place. If you stay in one place, your competitors are everywhere. They would obviously outshine you and overthrow you, which obviously no business wants that. So there was a time I was working with a fintech app that was targeting artisans, and we had to go into local communities and sit in their shops and watch them do business. We had to understand their cash flow struggles, and that empathy phase that we got from that, it shaped every single design choice that we had, and it led to thousands of people adopting this application in just few months. Why? Because it was personalized. They felt like we knew it was more like you have a superpower where you entered the person's mind and you understood exactly what this person wants. So that's that about that. Also, I would like to talk about the common mistakes that companies make when they are trying to be user-centered. So first of all, most people decide to design from the boardroom. They design from the office. They use internal opinions to override users' feedback. It is one thing to get users' feedback, to listen to your users. It is another thing to implement it. Most people just get the feedback, and if it doesn't align with their business, they're not doing anything about it. They push it to the side and say, "Oh no, we're not doing this." Then they do what they want to do, and eventually they come back in the same loop of not doing exactly what the users want. And what does that lead to? Users would not use that product. And also, they also have the mistake of assuming instead of listening. They ask, there is one thing to go for a research and then you ask biased questions. You ask leading questions that when you ask this question, you know exactly what the person is going to answer because of your tone, because of the way you shaped the questions. Most of the time, it is better for you to shape questions in an open-ended way so that you allow the user to speak his mind and talk so that you would not indirectly lead the user into saying a certain thing because that way your user research and everything is just useless at that point. You're not going to get exactly what the user wants to say or what is on the person's mind. Then also, there are businesses that just go from research to final design without building and testing. Building and testing is very, very, very important. As much as research is important, as much as the research is important before you start. While building, you have to research. While testing, you have to research. You have to research at each and every step of the way. Then also, I'm also going to talk about the tools and methods that we use for empathy-driven research. So first of all, we use empathy mapping, where after getting all the information from the users, then we segment them. What does the user say? How does the user feel? What is the user thinking? What does the user do in this kind of situation? That way, you are able to see patterns in a more organized manner, and that way, you're able to make better decisions. Also, we make use in-depth interviews where it could be virtual like this, and it could also be physical where you interview your users and you ask them questions, mostly open-ended questions, not leading questions. So you ask them questions, and that way you're able to get their pinpoints and all of that. And I've talked about shadowing recently, where you go to their environment and you just observe them, you look at them without asking questions. And that way you're able to see how they struggle with certain things and how you can help them as a manufacturer, as a builder, as a product designer. Also, we do journey mapping where we look into how their journey, how does a user move from point A to point B while using your product. So those are some of the steps, some of the so many steps that we use to do user research. So I don't know how much time do I have left?
You still have like roughly 5 minutes. So I'd like to actually ask this question, like because with that pretty much of like a device process, like there is enough budget for the implementation for that kind of like implementation, right? So for startups, is there a way for them to adopt user-centered design without a larger budget?
Yes, I feel like if you have a very good user researcher, the user researcher can, there's a way the user researcher can come down to your budget. Of course, when you have a larger budget, it makes the research better. It makes it bigger. But also, okay, for example, we have secondary research. So instead of starting up from doing interviews, because doing interviews with people, you probably have to have an incentive that you're going to give to them for them to like use their time and willingly come and stay with you and all of that. You have to, it's a give or take thing. It's a give and take thing. But also, there are articles, there are secondary research that you can do that you'd have a foundation. That way, number one, it reduces time. Number two, it reduces cost. So that way, you are able to cut down cost, cut down time, and then you're still able to get a similarly or a relatively good research. But the worst thing to do is to decide to scrape off research because you have like a low budget. That is the worst because eventually you go back to phase one, more like you finish the project, is so nice, so beautiful, but nobody uses it. Then you're back to phase one. You don't have users, you don't have anything. And that way, that time, it is more expensive because you've wasted money, then you come back and you rebuild and you correct. It's very frustrating. So, yeah, that's it.
I see. I see. Yeah. Thank you for addressing that. Yeah, you
Okay.
can wrap up. You have like 2 or 3 minutes. We can check for any questions, or if you have some additional few things you'd like to share.
Okay. So, finally, I'd just like to say that empathy in this world, in this stage we are in right now, or let's say user-centered design now, but we know that the art of user-centered design is empathy. So that's why I am really, really focusing on empathy. I think I've said empathy like 500 times. I think I'm exaggerating. But empathy is becoming a new competitive currency. So it is not just a checkbox, it is your advantage, it is your edge over everybody else. So as AI and automation become standard, what will differentiate products is not their functionality anymore. It is the humanity, how well you can understand humans, how well you can tap into their feelings and emotions, how well you can make them feel seen, make them feel safe, and make them feel understood. So the future of design isn't just smarter products anymore, because of course we have AI and we all will agree that AIs are so smart, but it is more of emotional intelligence now. So, and that starts with empathy. The root of emotional intelligence is empathy and not ego. And also, now that I remember, for the question that you asked, one way you can, a shortcut that you can use for that also is competitive analysis. You can look into your competitors, look at what they are doing well, look at what they are not doing well, then incorporate that into your own. You pick out the things they are not doing well, the places they are flopping, then you try to make it better on your hand. That way you are outshining them. Obviously, you're the better option. So that way users come to you. You are indirectly stealing your competitors' users. And it works perfectly well. I've done it hundreds of times. It works so well. So that's another shortcut. So I think that's all I have to say.
All right. Wow, that's a very clever way of doing that in lessening the cost when you are still starting up. But yes, all we're after is the effectivity and, of course, to be able to establish
Yeah.
if you were a startup. All right. Well, thank you so much for such wonderful topic you have shared today, Betty.
You're
And yeah,
welcome.
I'll give one more chance or like few minute chance if there are additional questions or additional inputs from our attendees before we move to the next topic.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. With that full attention, Ikunda, thank you so much. And Priyanka, thank you for the appreciation. All right, no other questions? All right. So, but if anything comes up, Betty will still be with us. So you can just put it on chat and she can address that. Yeah, as long as yeah, she can definitely read the questions in the chat section. All right, so again, thank you, Betty, and we'll be moving on the second topic that we have today from our second guest speaker, who is a returning speaker. We have invited her a few times before already and has delivered very informational discussions. And today she will talk about effective waste management waste. Because waste is increasing as everything is also improving, right? So it's unavoidable. So with this topic, we will talk about effective waste management, which is crucial for environmental sustainability, resource conservation, and public health, and implementing the following strategies that can significantly reduce waste generation and promote a cleaner, healthier environment. And our guest speaker is an outreach strategist at Electrifine Recycling, Private Limited, advisor, Green Society of India NGO, and founder of Root Skills, and also an expert in designing strategy for effective waste management. And yeah, so she will tell us a little bit about her recent works as well. Help me welcome Bhavisha Budadeo for our second topic. Hello, Bhavisha. How are you today?
Hello. All well, fine, fine.
All right, that's great to hear.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, yeah,
So, yeah.
thank you so
So
much
regarding
for joining us today.
waste management,
Yeah,
today's
there's
topic is crucial.
yes, yeah, there's a little discrepancy on the network. Let's see.
Uh,
Uh
I think the network is okay.
all right. Yeah, kindly have the microphone a little closer.
Okay. Now,
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
fine. So, are you able to listen? I mean, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, yes, you are.
So, can we start, right?
Yes, you can. Thank you.
So, regarding the waste management, today's topic is really very crucial because we all know that waste is becoming it is now hazardous almost because uh, everywhere we can see the heap of the plastic waste or e-waste or other kind of a waste here and there. So long back, I when I started working on it, the situation was like we were doing it on a traditional way. But as the time goes, we come to know that if we want to handle it in a right way, we need a technology. We need to switch to the proper scientific way. And again, many policies are like they are updating policies, and very many norms are there nowadays, and guidelines are there. So we need to follow all these guidelines for the sustainable way, for the effective waste management solutions. Otherwise, we cannot handle it now because it is becoming day by day, it is becoming huge. This problem is very huge now, but we can solve it in a right step by step manners by identifying properly, segregating it in a right way. So we can segregate it in a different, categories like normal waste, e-waste, compostable waste, biodegradable waste, non-biodegradable waste, recyclable. Again, the waste from which we get, we get the again we can utilize those waste as a resources. So we need to first of all identify what kind of waste these are. So if it is if it is e-waste, then we can think of reusing it, refurbishing, or if we can't do reuse or refurb, then we should think of the recycling it. But last option should be landfills. We should try our best to make it sure that we should not throw it into the landfills. It should not go to the landfills because it is now, like we are wasting the resources. We can see the climate change and other problems because of this waste. If we think that we can recover precious metals, we can recover precious, resources from this waste, then we can do it. But for that, we need companies need few license, technology. technical experts, then only we can again, like we can get it, we can utilize it in an effective way. So we need to use multiple beans first at a first stage, at whether it is schools, colleges, or industry. So we can bifurcate it in again two sectors: domestic and industries. So for a domestic waste, we can simply put small bins and all for the segregation. But for the industry, if we want to collect from the industry, then we need a proper channel, big bins and smart bins as well. Smart bins in the sense that to cut on the logistic for the effective utilizations, to save on a fuel and resources, and again we need it should be cost efficient, then only we can afford it. Otherwise we can't afford this again it should be sustainable, so that we can meet the expenses, day to day expenses, and it's a recurring, again it is very much recurring waste. So we need to think of the proper waste segregation, then effective utilization, then again to save on the logistic as well. So we need to go with the technology, we need to go with the smart bins, smart way. Smart way in the sense there we can use sensors, we can use some other techniques, because it is difficult for the individual person or employee to handle it in a like themselves. So we need many different tools. Many companies are now into this research, and even government is also supporting in a very much like in a research and innovations. Otherwise we can't survive if we will not solve this problem. We will see the oceans of the West. We will see the rivers, oceans full of the plastics and e-waste, and it will destroy the ecosystem otherwise. So we need to right now take the action in a mass level. We need to spread awareness everywhere, because we can say that when we can when the first day when we born, and till the our last day, usually what we generate is everyone, we can see that whatever we use, either we consume food, or say we use, if we use mobile, laptop, or anything, vehicles, or so anything, we pollute, we generate this all waste. And so we need to reuse, recycle, refurb, whatever the way we can, like maximum. First, our first priority should be reduce the waste. But in certain cases, we cannot reduce it. We need it every day. Like many products, like we need to use it. Say, for example, medicine packaging, or food packets. So definitely we frequently every day use it. So so we need to think of the proper solution, how we are discarding our waste, where we are discarding it, and what is going to be with those waste. Because when we give it to like any agency or any recyclers, that time we need to think, and we need to ask those people that what you are going to do, what you will do with this waste. Because our whatever waste we are generating from home, for office, from like we can say old books, old copies, notebooks, clothes. So there are multiple waste, multiple sectors, from multiple sectors we are generating it. So we need to think of proper discarding it. Again, it is also the responsibility of the producers, manufacturer, electronics products, plastic products, to those producers who all are manufacturing, they should mention it, some instructions or some guidelines, or how after using, how after the ending of the lifespan of that product, we should discard. Proper instructions should be there on the product, on whatever like packaging are there, or manual. So we need to think, producers need to think, so end user also need to think what we are going to do with this after consuming mobile, using laptop, earplugs or whatever. Because other waste, we can understand that biodegradable waste is easy to handle, but this non-biodegradable waste and other, we should try to recycle it maximum in a right time, because time duration also matters a lot. If we take more than the standard time, then again it is a loss for everyone. Say for example, recycling cycle for any products like batteries or vehicles or laptop. Uh, for example, after 3 years, I want to discard it, and if I keep it in a shelf for longer than the 6 year, 7 year, so for the 3 years, it is a waste at my place. It is lying at somewhere in my home or office. It is occupying uh, space, as well as again we are extracting other metals from the mother earth, and that way we really need to take a stand. We really need to think of the each and every product which is not useful anymore at our office or our place. We should either give it to the someone else for the reusing, either, or we should sell it in a market, or we should think of the like with the help of the technology and experts, we should think of the refurbishing it. Nowadays in the market we can see that many old products, people are refurbishing and selling it in a very nominal rates in the market. So we should also support this market, refurbishing market. We should support this. uh, uh, Second hand, we cannot say it second hand, we can say it using it again in a right way. So we should think of this, we should develop this expertise, we should train more people for how they can uh, you know how they can reuse or refurbish, or how they can upcycle any products. So no matter what is the brand, what is the company, what is the product, but somewhere is using this product. For us, if it is not useful, but for the someone it is useful, so we should try to make it possible by reaching out to those people, like whoever is there. We should try to find out the reusers, resellers, or recyclers. Then only we should purchase the new products again. So it is very very crucial. It is again for our health purpose also. We should think, if when we damage or when we throw it into the rivers, or by mistake if it is going in any rivers or dump yard or anywhere, due to the leachate, due to the uh, heavy metals, leakages of these heavy metals and all, we are destroying aquatic life. And because of that, many other problems are recurring, entering, because when we say, when aquatic life some part of the world, So it is again, mosquito breeding problems and other problems are uh, becoming nowadays very, very, it is very, very problemsome, because in a river, when we think that if we are throwing plastics or any waste in the rivers, it is contaminating the water. It so that now, like fish and other aqua lives are, we are almost, uh, it is on a danger level now. So think about, give it a priority, that love your waste, and think it, uh, we need to properly discard it. Otherwise, the life will be in a danger in coming years. Temperature is rising high. Soil, we can see the soil samples, and we can take the water samples of the different rivers. It is not now drinkable in many areas. So many problems are occurring because of the improper way of discarding, improper way of the, like throwing waste here and there, or saving on the logistics. So now even government is supporting high. They are now penalizing to the, like whoever is the burning this waste or throwing into the river. So we need to think, rethink, and again requesting everyone that please go for the RR, that is recycle, refurbish. Even RRR, we can say reduce, reuse, recycle, refurb, upcycle. So with this, many universities, colleges are supporting me nowadays, and they are coming front, and they are donating their e-waste to our company, and they are offering us land for the collection of the e-waste. We need to do it in a decentralized way, local, you know because so many times it happens that we purchase it from one state, but we are throwing it to the other state when we are traveling, when we are shifting, when we are visiting other place. So it should be, like everywhere this facility we need this facility, so to save on a logistic, and to save on a, timely recycling, effective way, sustainable way, for a sustainable way. And again, to make it very reasonable, affordable to the recyclers. If we will not do it that way, recycler will not be possible to run their business. So we need to support to the recyclers. We should give it to the recyclers in a good condition, wherever, like without burning or without, and they destroy the data scientifically, and they have the proper team, so that it is again very much secure. If we are, giving them mobile to recycle or refurbish, or if we are, like selling old laptops, or because in a big IT companies, we can see that there are thousands of the employees working together. So they need to change frequently their laptops and other electronics, electric, whatever gadgets or products are there. So cables, panels, everything. We can think of batteries. So many things are there. So we need to focus on it in a right way. And even I request to the all the IT companies, that if you are, frequently changing your laptops and mobiles and devices, then proper check that you are giving your waste to the authorized recyclers, authorized by the government, local authority, and those people who are properly having facilities, refinery facilities, recycling facilities, or if possible, arrange one visit to the recycling unit. Go there, check out the facilities, how they are doing it, then only donate your sell your waste to those people, because many times happens that they take it as if they are getting in a donations, but they don't have the proper recycling facilities, so they take the whatever is useful and again reselling it somewhere, and throwing the balance west to the river or somewhere else, either in a landfills. So we need to proper check, and now the laws are very strict. If anything is doing wrong, I mean, in this field, there should be strict penalties, or their license should be cancelled, so that the proper whoever is willing to do it in a proper way, they can do it in a right way. So that's all I wanted to share today, that again requesting same, if you know the producers of the electronics items, connect them to us. And if you know the like showrooms, or those who are selling the new product against, and taking back the old products, we will be happy to take we will be happy to purchase these old products for the upcycling, refurbishing, recycling purpose. So connect us, and I want to utilize this beautiful platform for reaching out to the more people, more industry, so that we can conserve Mother Earth resources in a right way. So thank you, Phil, and all the entire team of the Let Us Talk It, for this opportunity to reach out to the mass people and mass industries with this platform. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Bhavisha. So that was a really interesting topic that you have shared. Like hoping all the companies in the tech industry would be willing to like buy the like if like boards and anything that they have sold, like they can recycle it in their company, like buy it from the previous owners, because if like a laptop or a computer gets old, no one wants to use it because you want to be on the latest. Then what would you do with those waste, right? So yeah, so that's really something needed to be or something to look into by big technology companies. Well, thank you so much for bringing that one in the table. And now we are um, checking with our attendees if you have any questions or additional inputs that you wanted to share, or yeah, go ahead
Yeah.
and raise your
Any
hand
question? Yeah.
if
I will be happy
nothing.
to answer if any question. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Or if you have some anything to ask Betty, you can like feel free to ask. No worries.
I do
Okay.
not have a question. No questions at all.
All right. Well, thank you. Okay. So I guess we are going to close the webinar session. Anything you'd like to promote currently, Vavisha? Anything yeah, you are working on as of the moment you'd like to promote?
Everything, like thank you, you already shared our profile and you have tagged us, so whoever are watching or reading and going to read this, so they will definitely approach us, or they can in their life they can adapt this reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yes.
So that is our tech, because we are doing it unconditionally, to make it our future uh, healthier and greener.
That's true. All right. So that's all we are hoping definitely in the future, because yeah, that's very important. All right. Thank you so much for the wonderful session, speakers, Betty and Bavisha. Really appreciate your enthusiasm and willingness to share your best practices and your experience here in this platform. And we are grateful for those who attended as well. and we welcome you and we invite you on the next schedule. We have Wednesday. So that's the same time, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Everything is free, like the knowledge sharing. You can ask our guest speakers, definitely, or you can have or acquire this recorded session, use it for informational purposes. Everything is completely free. All right. So join us next Wednesday. We invite you. And yeah, invite others too as we impact the world through free knowledge sharing. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And we are closing the webinar for now. So keep safe and take care as always. Goodbye for now, everyone. Thank you, Betty. And thank you, Bavisha.
Thank you.